Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our third webinar in a three-part series about tribal innovations and success stories in healthy homes outreach. My name is Erin McTigue. I'm with EPA Region 10 and the Tribal Air Program, and I'm really excited to co-host this webinar today with Tribal Healthy Homes Network. And we're just going to get right into things because we have a full agenda today with some excellent speakers. Thanks to all who've joined us in the first two webinars. And if you haven't, we'll have information later about where the recordings are available so you can tune into those. So just to give a quick overview of where we are going to go today, this is a quick snapshot of the agenda and our excellent speakers. I'm going to start us out with just some brief logistics about how to participate today and ask questions. In the flow of things, I'm going to share some tidbits of lessons learned and key information from the last webinar from last Monday. And then I'm going to turn it over to Gillian to say a few words and also do a couple of poll questions to get us started and help us understand who's on the line, the GoToWebinar line today. And then I'm really excited that we're going to hear from Lucas Bear with the Spokane Tribe, though I actually think I have it switched up here. I believe that Oxenia O'Diamond from Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium is going to speak first and then turn it over to Lucas to they're both going to be talking about exciting, valuable programs that they've done with their tribe or tribal organization. And then we're going to close out by turning the mic over to Krista Thornton with Tribal Healthy Homes Network, who's going to share some information with you all about how to order Air Matters toolkits if you're interested, a program that all of the different tribes and organizations who participated in this webinar series have used or modified to make their own, and then also just share a bit about how to get training and support from Tribal Healthy Homes Network. And then we're going to end with a raffle of an Air Matters toolkit. So Gillian will facilitate that, and then have some time for Q&A with our presenters. So just some brief logistics. Feel free at any time to put a question or comment either in the question box or the chat box. It could be on the right side of your screen on the GoToWebinar control panel. We'll have colleagues monitoring that, in particular Eileen Gagney with Tribal Healthy Homes Network, who's going to be helping to facilitate answers to those questions or bring them up later in the Q&A. The webinar will be recorded, and so the recordings will be made available if you'd like to look back at those or share them with others, and we'll have the slides also available as well and any resources we discuss. So just before we get started with today's presentation, I just wanted to say thank you to our excellent presenters from webinars 1 and 2, Tiffany Lozada with Porch Band of Creek Indians in Alabama, Sydney Jansen with Tribal Healthy Homes Network, the Air Matters Evaluation intern, who did some excellent presentations on the last webinars that I encourage you to listen to if you haven't already, Brooke Sanderson with Loudon Tribal Council in Galena, Alaska, and Eileen Gagney with Tribal Healthy Homes Network, who shared about some of her technical support and training on the last webinar. So thank you all so much for your contributions. So just before we learn about some new tribal programs, I wanted to highlight a couple of things that we took away from the last webinar last Monday. You'll see some images from the different presenters, so thanks again for sharing those with us. Some of the key things that I thought were worth just bringing up and sharing up front today were that, if you're interested in doing indoor air and healthy homes outreach, or if you already are, these are some tips from our prior presenters. So one being to set up a brainstorming session with EPA colleagues, with Tribal Healthy Homes Network, with other tribes who've done this work, other tribal departments. It can be just a great way to start and scope out a program. And if you decide to bring in a training to help your program get started, another idea is to invite the whole community. I know that Eileen shared that one of the communities in Alaska that she worked with invited the whole community, and it was just an excellent way to have everyone learn and be engaged. Another thing that we heard from, I think, presenters on all of the webinars is that making resources user-friendly and tailored for your community has been kind of a pro tip, I guess I would say, and you can make them extra user-friendly and interesting to your community by putting your own photos, your tribal logo, your own contact information, even stickers that correspond between different tools and paper-based materials, so that it's something that engages people right away and shows community members who are using these kits and outreach materials how to use them, and can make it just really straightforward. Another thing that we heard on the last webinar was that if you're going to start somewhere with providing educational tools or indoor air tools and equipment, that starting with the carbon monoxide and smoke detectors is a really good place to start, because if people don't already have them in their homes, or if they're outdated or don't have batteries in them, making sure that people have those in their homes is a life-saving, potentially life-saving and health protecting place to start, and also not very expensive. So that is a great tip from one of our presenters last week. So a few more quick points that I wanted to share, and you'll see some data here that Brooke Sanderson from Loudoun Tribal Council shared with us last week, is that, a great place to start is just getting to understand what your community's needs are. And that might be, depending on where we are in the pandemic and where your community is, just talking to people, having an event, or it could be an online event, or doing a survey to get an understanding of what your community's priorities are and needs and challenges, and then being able to tailor your program based on that. You'll see that in Brooke's data here, ventilation was one of the primary needs and concerns, as well as wood smoke, I think, from wood heating in her community. Providing a few different ways for people to engage can be valuable. Both can help with navigating, where you might be in the pandemic. Also, different people have different preferences for how they want to engage. Some are more comfortable doing so online. Some prefer to chat in person or over the phone, maybe don't have internet access. So having a few different ways for your program to be rolled out and for people to learn about it is a pro tip that we heard from other presenters. And some of you may be familiar with a Quality Assurance Project Plan, or a QAP, which is something that EPA grantees are required to use if they are doing any sort of data collection. But Brooke shared on the last call about the work that she did in Alaska, where she did this survey where she was able to collect the data that you see here, and she developed a quality assurance project plan up front just to make sure that the program was well thought out, that there were a certain number of questions that would get to the results that she was looking for. And there's certainly assistance available if you are interested in developing a QAP for survey work or in-home assessments or other kinds of data collection work related to indoor air in healthy homes. And certainly you can see that data is really powerful, both to inform your own program and also to ask and look for additional resources. So you may find, I know one of the things that Brooke shared with me was that a lot of homes were missing exhaust vents or over their cooking area, also didn't have working ventilation in bathrooms to help get some of that moisture out, which can create mold. So this data is something that she can use as she looks for, housing improvements and resources for that. So last slide here before I turn it over, a few tips that we also, I think, heard in webinar one were to look for unique partners. Eileen shared some great examples of ways to work with school staff, either science teachers or school administration, principals, facilities staff, and also clinical staff. There are lots of different ways you can partner with different programs to get the word out and to connect. Incentives also help. We know we've heard about a number of different examples of how you can use the indoor air tools as raffle prizes, whether it be something, a higher ticket item like a HEPA filter vacuum, or even smaller things like microfiber cleaning cloths and green cleaning supplies. And that can be really fun and engaging for community events. And then I think perhaps one of the most powerful things we heard is that, if you help one person, you should know that you've made a difference and your program was worthwhile. And so that, I think, is a very grounding place for us to start. And I am going to move us on to the next slide with just a quick reminder of the resources that are available. We talked about these in more detail on some of our last presentations. The Tribal Healthy Homes Network has the Air Matters program, which you'll hear a lot more about today, an excellent funding directory for expanding resources in your program at tribalindoorairfunding.org. And also can provide one-on-one training and technical support. And of course, I would have to make sure as an EPA staff person, I want to highlight that we have a lot of resources and technical expertise in our different programs to support your tribe or community, your program in its outreach tool development, as well as lots of other kinds of technical information and support. We have funding that we provide through Indian General Assistance Program, or IGAP. It's a Clean Air Act tribal grant program. There's our environmental justice grants, among other resources available that can be used for indoor air related work. And of course, the tribes and presenters that are part of this webinar series, as well as others that aren't, that we'd be happy to connect you with that have done indoor air work, are excellent resources. Same goes with Institute for Tribal Environmental Professionals and ANTHC, who you'll be hearing from later today. So here is our contact information, and I will make sure to bring it up again at the end. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn the mic over to Gillian